are going to first complete the class-based component. It is remaining a bit, and lifecycle matters and all those things are remaining. Then we'll start with the hook-based, and we're going to complete it by tomorrow. All the React things will be completed by tomorrow. So let me share my screen, and this is what till where we were in the last class. We did some refs. I'm going to revisit this file again for one reason. Hope I'm able to welcome all. Hope I'm live now.
Do you know
Okay.
creating a single online course can help you make
Okay. So yeah. So yeah, I'm live. Thank you. And one sec. Let me see. Everything is working fine. Okay, yeah, everything is working fine. Video, audio, everything is working fine. Okay, so let's get started. And we are going to start with lifecycle methods. Lifecycle methods are the second important thing in class-based component or in React after state. And so let us know that. So I will start a slideshow. First, a bit theory, then I will come to the practical. Okay, so what are the lifecycle methods? So one sec. So yeah. So lifecycle method, there are different phases in lifecycle method. One is mounting phase, one is updating phase, one is unmounting and error handling. Out of this, mounting and the updating phase are the most important. Unmounting phase is also something which we are going to learn, but later on when we're going to hook based approach, when we are going to learn, then again we are going to revisit this unmounting phase. Okay, again we are going to revisit this thing. So this mounting phase means when an instance of the component is created and inserted into a DOM, then a mounting phase happens. And when a component has been re-rendered as a result of changes to either its props or state, and when a component has been removed from the DOM. So main thing like mounting phase is like the previous demo form. It is mainly regarding the state. A demo form we created in which suppose the component has been loaded and nobody interacts with anything. We didn't interacted with anything. The first time a phase runs, it is known as mounting phase. Then suppose there were some text boxes and we interact with them. So the state change, when a state change, then a component get re-rendered. We know that thing, that control component, we saw that thing, so it get re-rendered. So when it get re-rendered, so that the updating phase runs. Okay, so first we'll see the mounting phase, then the updating phase. So mounting phase, these are some of the methods of the mounting phase. We'll see them then. So this is the mounting lifecycle method. So the constructor is there first, then the get state from props is there, get state from props is there, then the render is there, and then the component did mount is there. Out of this constructor and render we know, but get derived state from props and component did mount we don't know. We're going to learn about that. So constructor, we know what is constructor, a special function which has been called when a new component is been created. And the constructor is a perfect for initialization state and binding event handler. We have seen both of those things, this dot state and binding this dot function equal to bind this, and we have seen that. Don't do http request on the constructor. Yeah, I'll tell from where to do the http request. And yeah, maybe I'll put the slides on the description. I'll put the slide. Okay, so need to call a special function super props. This is required to have access to this dot props in a component. So this special function, we have super props. This is required to have access to the this dot props in a component. Okay, so and can set state directly with this dot state only in the constructor, and the rest of the places is this dot set state. Then get derived state from, actually this derived state, get derived state from props, this is a rarely used lifecycle method, and we are also not going to learn much about it because all this lifecycle method has been ported to hooks also. So this has not been ported because this is hardly used, but still in React 14 it is still there. Okay, so but it needs to return state or none. Render is a very important method. It's the only required method. Even the constructor is something which if you don't put it, it will be okay, and it reads props and state and return JSX. Okay, and again don't change state here. Child component lifecycle method are also executed after render. Then this is a very important method, component did mount. Component did mount, this method is called only once. This method is called only once. It is been invoked after the components and its child components are been rendered in the DOM. Okay, so perfect place to interact with the DOM or do HTTP request. Children component lifecycle method are also executed after this render. Okay, so this is done, and so we'll learn it with an example. The component did mount is the most important. See what happens when something is been loaded. So after everything is loaded, then this component did mount. It is something similar to when we do a vanilla JavaScript, HTML, CSS, JavaScript project. We put the JavaScript at the end before the body is ending. You do that thing so that whole of the everything in the page get loaded first, and then the JavaScript will load, or else it will block. So component did mount also runs something like that. After the whole of the page has been loaded, then it will be run, and it runs only in the mounting phase. So now we'll learn everything through the code which we have just told. So I need this, and I'll make it open. So I'll come here and do a parent life cycle dot js, and I will have a child life cycle also, child life cycle dot js. So this parent life cycle and child life cycle, and this will be RCC. Okay, RCC, and for default parent life cycle, and then you'll have a constructor, and this constructor will have this data state is name and parent. Okay, so I'll have this thing parent life cycle. Okay, now I'll have a lot of console log in my project in this thing, so that we can know where the main thing to know here is the how the flow moves in a mounting phase. First we're seeing the mounting phase, then we're going to see the updating phase. These are the two most important phases. Unmounting is also there. Unmounting we'll see not now, we'll see with hook based. Okay, so now I'll do a CLG, and here I will again put this parent life cycle, and I'll put the constructor. This is a very important console log. You're going to have this console log everywhere. So now we'll have, after this we'll have a static get derived state from props. Get derived state from props. This is the method name, and then props, it takes props, and state it takes, and then again it will have a return null. Let me have a here also, but this one I will write parent lifecycle method get derived state from props. Okay, so this is like this. Then we have a thing known as component did mount. It is very important thing. Component did mount, and here doesn't require anything, and we'll do this thing from here, and it will be component did mount. Okay, so after this I will have a h1, and this dot state dot name I will put, and then okay, how this return I'll put like this, and render I'll put. Okay, so all the things I put. So now this parent lifecycle method, it's time to put it here. Parent lifecycle, got it, and I'll also open the console because it is where it will be shown. Okay, so in the moment I save it, you see how it is coming. See, first the constructor is running, then the get derived state from props is running, then the render is in there. The order doesn't matter. then the render is running. After the render is done, then the component did mount is done. This is a very important thing. Component did mount run at the end. This is very important thing, and this is very important matter. As I've told, we don't use get derived state from props nowadays, and actually we never used it. And component did mount is the one of very important method, because we do API call from this method. So the last topic in class base will be to do the API call, in which we will again going to see the component did mount. Okay, and that is there. And now what we are going to do, we are going to create a child lifecycle method also, child lifecycle file also. It will be like same, only the thing which will be different here is export default and child lifecycle like this. And here I'll do one thing. It's better, everything will be same here, only the thing which will be different here is this parent lifecycle method. I will replace it with the child lifecycle. All of those things I'll replace. So all these things are child lifecycle method. Okay. So yeah, save it. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to come here in the parent, and after this h1, I'm going to call the child here. So child lifecycle, call it. Okay, so I went putted it, and now let me save it. So see now the flow. Now see the flow. First the parent lifecycle constructor is running, then derived state from props, then the render is running, then it goes, after the render it goes to the constructor here, then get derived state from props, then the render, then this component did mount, and at last parent component did mount will run. So at last parent component did mount will run. So now what does this means? This means that at the last only the parent component did mount will run. So if you do a API call, we should always try to do with the parent highest component did mount. So it means from here we should be try to do it. Okay, so this is our mounting lifecycle method. Okay, so the updating lifecycle method runs if some state is changed or some props is changing in the parent component, and in component it will go in the child component also. Some props is changed or something is changed like this. So let us again do the theory first, and then we are going to check it in a code. So I will do this. Okay, so updating lifecycle methods are get derived state from props is again there, then should component update, a new method is there, then render is there. Okay, then get snapshot before update and component did update. But one main thing to notice here is that there is no constructor, there is no component did mount. Both of those methods are not there in the updating lifecycle method. And actually as I've told earlier, get derived state from props is not a important method. Should component update is again not an important method. It was used for a bit of what you say, a bit of performance optimization. But and again this is also not important, but the component did update is very important here. Okay, so again get the recipe from also know, should component update was used to do this performance optimization. I've seen it been used, but nowadays it is not been used, because in even in the hooks this lifecycle method is not there. Then this render, we know what is render. Get a snapshot before update, again we don't use it much. Component did update is very important, called after render is finished in the re-render cycle. It is the equivalent of component did mount, and it also runs when the render is finished. Okay, so now we are done with this. Now we are going to add this new methods here. So we are going to, in this we are going to use add those three new methods. So first is should component update. I'll do first, then should component update, and then return true, and I have this. Should component update here, and then I will have a get snapshot before update. It will have a priv props, comma priv state, and here return null, and get snapshot before update, and then component did update is there, and component did update. Component did update is there, but this method won't run. This method won't run until the state is updated. So how will the state be updated? For updating the state only, I have kept the state here. There was no use to keep the state here. How to update this? Just change it through a button. You'll the state will update and it will get re-rendered. The main thing is that this method runs only when the component is re-rendered, and a component can be re-rendered only by changes in the state or changes in the props. So I will have a button here, and this button will be having the change state, and on click equal to this dot set state name is the web app. Okay. So is there, will save it. Okay, one sec. So my mobile got okay. Okay, so this button has been done. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the same this three new method. I'm also going to put it in the child life cycle. So let me put it there, child life cycle, then control F, and I'll change it here because here the console log should be like this. Okay, so I'll save it. Now if I refresh it the first time, all the methods which are running, okay, which are running are again the mounting phase. Okay, so I don't want the mounting phase, I want the updating phase. So updating phase, I have to change the state. So I'll change the state here. See, now the methods which are running, they are totally different. Get derived state from props, should component update, then render. There is no constructor and there is no component did mount. Get derived state from props again, then should component update, render, get a snapshot, and at the last component did update of the parent is. Actually in this phase only the render and the component did update are important. Okay, so that is there. Okay, so hello all. So that is there. So this completes the lifecycle method, but as we're going to revisit the lifecycle method when we are going to do the hooks again. Okay, so that is something which we are going to do. And then, so this is done as I told. One more thing I want to tell, in the reps demo there was something which I didn't told at that time because something required the knowledge of lifecycle method. So let me add it again. So refs we have completed on the previous day, day 2 we have completed reps. So in reps what was there, see the reps we were using the reps like a demo component. So demo form, I've told that thing. So how to use it like the this dot state. But as the Facebook team also said, don't use refs like this. There is one special case for refs. There are sometime there's something in the DOM which are not even available to the React. So that's something when you require something like this, you should use refs. So there is something known as focus. See what happened when my this component is getting loaded. I have to click here and then write it. So there is a focus thing in DOM in DOM programming, by which what can happen directly, the mouse cursor will come here, and that is something we want to load once the whole this component is getting loaded. So for that, once everything has been loaded, which component do we use, which lifecycle method we use the lifecycle method of component did mount. So we are going to come here and do a component did mount. We are going to use this thing, and then I'm going to use a method like this dot user ref dot current. Always the reference we use is the ref only, and dot focus, like this focus is there. So I will save it. So this is a practical example of component did mount, because I wanted this method to run after this whole of this thing has been loaded in the DOM. Loaded in DOM means what? Everything has been shown. So see, now I will refresh it. This is by default, it is there. I am not doing anything. By default, this blinking thing is coming here. So this is one of the practical example of component did mount. Okay, and now the next thing which we are going to learn is context API. So we are going to learn context API in React. So what is this context API and why it is required? So I will show one image now. Okay, so in React, we know that we pass data from the parent to the child through props, something known as props. We have seen this earlier. And on day one, we have seen this passing data through props. So what happens? What happens in React? We pass data through props. So suppose there is an app component and there is a component C. I want the data to be passed from the app component to component C. So how do I pass it? Data I will pass through props like and the main thing is that component A and B don't require that data. But since the structure is like that, app component is sending to component A is sending to component B, component B is sending to component C. We are not we have to forcibly send through A and B. And if suppose between the app component and component C there are 100 components, we have to send through the 100 component. This problem in React is also known as prop drilling. So to solve this problem, there is actually two ways. One is the context API and one is Redux. Redux is something which is very complicated and something which I teach in my advanced React sometime. Maybe I'm planning to have some advanced React kind of a thing, because React generally you need some Redux logic and React router also. Maybe I will have that soon, but it will not be like a 4-day course. Maybe in a go I will take 3-4 hours course. Okay, so like that. So Redux is required. And the another way is like this context API. The other way is known as context API. And in the context API, what happens, the data I can directly pass from app component to component C. So how we are going to do that? Let us see that thing, the context API. Okay, and I'll close this thing. So first component which I'm going to have here is known as the child.js and RCC export default child. So I have a child component here. Maybe it will have a h1 of child. Save it. Now this child component will call from another component known as parent dot js. So this one also be RCC export default parent, and here I will just call the not children. So So this is something weird is happening. So yeah, so this child is been called here. Now there will be another component called grandparent.js, and it will be again RCC, and it will call the parent. It will call the parent like this. I'll save it. Now, but in the app.js, I'll call the grandparent and save it. So, oh, still the child is there. Child should be there. Save it. Okay. So the child is coming like this. So the app is calling the grandparent, grandparent is calling the parent, parent is calling the child, and finally in the child I have this h1. So okay. So now as I've told, I want to pass the data from the app.js to the child directly. If I am passing through props, I have to pass our props here, then pass this props here, and then pass this props here, here, and one by one I will do it. But I don't want to do it like that in a normal way, because we know the problem of props trailing. So what is the context API? So context API will create a file. We can create this context API here also. We're going to revisit this context API in the your hooks also. So okay, so we're going to revisit that at that time. So but that time we're going to create it here only, but I'm going to show another pattern in which we create a different file. So I'll come here and use the component. I will write user context.js, user context.js. Here I will have a IMR React from React and const user context equal to React dot create context, React dot create context, then const user provider equal to user context dot provider, and then const. See, the thing is that the context API have two things. One is the provider, one is the consumer. We're going to come back to that. What are they means? Let me write the code first. Consumer equal to user context dot consumer, and export user provider comma user consumer, user provider comma user consumer. I have, okay, why I'm passing this thing, user provider and context I'm exporting. See, the now the concept of provider and consumer is like that. From wherever you want to send some data, you will have the provider. From wherever you want to receive the data, you'll have the consumer. So that's why you can send the data from anywhere and receive the data from anywhere. Okay, so now the first thing is that I want to send the data from this app component. So how I'll do here, I'll go here and do a user provider. I have to import this user provider, and then I have to wrap this grandparent inside it. Means like a children, I'll do it. So I have to grab this and any component inside it. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to have a value equal to, I mean, so it is like passing a prop. So a prop value like this Nabendu. There also I can pass anything, but a difference is here. The difference is there. First we are wrapping everything, and the other difference is that this value is not anything. Like it's not a. It's a keyword. There I have told in props I can have name, prop, anything you can do. But the value here is a keyword. That is the main thing. But you're passing the data as a string. So this is the most common way. Like a string, I'm passing data. This can be anything. Nabindu can be anything. So I will go here. Now how I will get the data? Getting the data is not as easy as the props. So earlier there was a concept known as the render props concept, and because of that we used to get the data. So how we will get the data here? So here we'll have first I'll remove it. So there are two ways to get it. One is this render process pattern, and there is another pattern. So here I'll do a user consumer. Okay, like this. As I told, consumer need to do. But after that, how to get it? We get it in a like this is a not complicated. The pattern is not very easy. So this is known as the render process pattern. Okay. So there is another pattern which I'm going to tell, which is much more easier. So user console, I have to wrap it. Then I'll do a user, and then do a return here, and in this return, I will have a h1 child component and h3 hello user. I'm going to do. So this hello user I have done. So this user is actually this value, the value nabindu which I'm passing. This is that. So if I save it, see nabindu is one. So much thing to get the value nabindu. So I have to wrap it, then I have to do this thing. This is another render prop pattern. This pattern is a bit complicated. So yeah, good evening, Ankit. So there is another pattern which is a bit easier than this pattern, and we in hooks also we have a pattern. But in that, what we need to do here, we have to export the complete thing also. Export default. So I'll do a default export user context. Export default user context I'm going to do. So I can again change the code in the child, but I want you all to have this code. So we are going to do it in a parent anyways. So thinking like app to parent, I'm going directly and not going through grandparent. So in this pattern, which is a bit different than this pattern, how to consume it, what we do, we write static and context type. But here the problem is that everything is keyword. Static context type equal to user context type, and using the user context, then I'll have a like this h1 parent welcomes maybe this dot context. This dot context is there, and see, I'll save it, and parents welcome Nabindu is coming. So the thing is that I have to write this line, and static context type equal to user context, and then this dot context, I can get the value whatever is there. But here one problem I find, a problem, everything is a keyword here. When you're going to look at the same thing in hooks, we're going to find it is much more easier. This is why it is this children, I don't know. Okay, so we'll see that it is much more easier, but then also this thing is much more easier than this thing. Okay, so that is there. So context API is also done. So now we are coming to the last topic in the class base, which is to do HTTP request. HTTP request is the main thing. See, a front-end engineer, the main work of a front-end engineer is always like a back-end engineer will give you an API endpoint. You don't have to know how he will give a API endpoint and all, means how it will save in the database. So there are two kinds of API which you have to create. One is the get API to get all the data, like you go to amazon.com and you get all the data. Then there is a post API, just like you log into amazon.com. So that is a post API has been created and all those things. Okay, so those kind of two kind of APIs are very, there are two other APIs are also there, put and delete. So that we're not going to that. So put is happen when you have a Facebook post and you edit the Facebook post, then put happens. You delete a Facebook post, then delete request will come. So this four kind of API things are only there. Okay, so now how to do it in the code and all. Okay, so how to, if you have an API endpoint, so how to do it there. So the thing is that which API endpoint are we going to hit? We're going to hit the same JSON placeholder API endpoint which I've seen so much. This API endpoint we're going to hit, and we're going to get the data here. So how to get the data here? So Actually, we created one list post earlier, if you remember, day one or day two. So in the list post, what we did, we hard coded the data, and we are sending it to the post item. So instead of hard coding the data here, let us receive it through that API call, and then we'll send to this component. Okay, so that is it. So I will have a new component which is post list dot post list dot js, and here again a rcc for default post list is there. Then we'll have a our const like this, and then post. Okay, so I'm picking a state variable here. And what is that state variable? Post. Why? Because I'm getting posts back. Okay, and it's a array. And here also, if you see, I was having this post thing. So I'm taking a state variable of post, which is an empty array. Now I have to do the API call to get the data. And we are going to use the fetch API here. So this fetch API was already taught in my JavaScript class. So actually in React we can use another thing known as access. I'm going to show this access when you're going to do the functional component there. I'm going to show that thing, but we can use it here also. But then there will be too many things to show. So we're going to use the inbuilt fetch API, which we can use in JavaScript also. So for that, and again there are two ways to use it. Okay, one is component, one is async await, and another is then and catch. So then and catch, you can experiment with then and catch. I'm not going to tell that, and I'm going to use the async await. So again, so here the main thing is that we have to do the API call through component did mount. We want to do the API call only when everything is been loaded. Okay, so and one more thing I'll do here, I'll actually, okay, I will actually comment this out, and then I will call the post list like this, save it, and save it, post list. Okay, and then we have to do it through component did mount. Component did mount we have to do. So I'll come here, and then let us do this URL equal to, this is the URL, this is the URL. I'm going to do this URL. Okay, then so I'm not going to tell fetch API. I'm going to fetch API. What we need to do here, fetch API, we need to do const res equal to await fetch URL. Fetch URL we need to do here, and if it is await, there should be something as async. So when we do through async await, we make the component did mount itself as async. Then I have to go to, we have to do two times because this is how the fetch works. So const post equal to await res dot json I'll do, and then g post I'm going to do, and if I do inspect and go to the console, and now I'll save it. So everything is okay. I should get back the data, and I got back the data as an array of object. Actually, 100 items are there. So I got all the data. So now I got all the data. Just now I have to show it. So how do I show it? I do this dot set state, this dot set state, and then I'll do the post as post. Okay, see, this post is this state post, and this post is this post. And because we can, in ES6 we can remove, if both of them are the same name, we can remove this thing. Okay, so I'll remove this thing. Now the other thing is that we need to show it here. And I'm not going to write everything like again. So let us directly show it here. But actually you'll see this will not work. This will say what is post, what is post item, post item. Okay, I will import the post item. So first error will be still there because there is no nothing like post. There is this dot state dot post. So maybe I will also get it out with the object destructuring const post equal to this dot state and have and see all the data has been shown here, not one or two, this is all 100, and this is showing in this beautiful way because in this post item we have everything in this beautiful way. So we are getting all the 100 post, all the 100 post we have got, all the 100 post we have got. So this is what it is there, all the 100 post we have got. Okay, so this is how to do a get API, a get call we are doing. So now the next thing I also want to show how to do the post, how to do the post, because post is also very important, how to do a post, how to submit something. And actually this API endpoint is very good, we can submit to this API endpoint also, or else we need to create our own API endpoint, but we are not going to do it, we are going to submit in this endpoint only. So here I will come and I will create a new thing known as post form dot js, post form dot js, and then rcc I'll do, and export default post form I'll do. Okay, then here, so if I use hit this endpoint only, so what I need to do here, I need to send the user ID, title and body. Okay, so what I need to do, r const, and then here I'll have okay, exactly this thing. So this user ID will be like this user ID, and initially it will be empty string, comma, title, initially it will be empty string, comma, body, initially it will be empty string like this. Okay, so like this I'll have. Then what I will have. Okay, so let us take it from the demo form, something like this. In the demo form, we'll take the form because I need a form to submit. Okay, and I will also destructure it before. So why to use the complete thing? So here I'll have this user ID, comma, title, comma, body equal to this dot state, like this I'll have. And then this form maybe I'll copy from here, and so I need to have this form there. And I also want a button of type submit, button of type submit, cut it. And what else I need, I need this handle submit also. Okay. So this handle symbol also I have. So now let us change it and all. So because this is not username, this is user ID, user ID, value is user ID. Okay. Then okay, I want actually, maybe I want one more. Yeah, because I want three things here. So second one will be title. This one is user ID. Second one is title, title, title. Okay, title is there. And the last one is this one, I will say that title, title. And last one is body, body and body. Okay, so this is also body, so everything is okay here. But okay, so this post form I'll do, and it will come, save it, will come here, and all the three things I'm taking from here. But one thing which I want to tell here is that in the demo form, if you see, when I'm doing the on change, I'm calling three different functions: user change, comment change, lang change. I can do the same thing here also, like calling three different function. But there is a shortcut. There is a shortcut of, instead of calling this three function, I can call only one function. And this is again something to do with ES6. Okay, something to do with ES6 again. So here, what we are going to do, I'm going to call only one thing, which is a handle change. But this is a sort of a trick here. I'm calling one thing, but for this thing I need to have access to one more thing here. Okay, so there is a name property in a HTML input, and name is, as I generally say, name is not required in React, but we are going to use the name for a reason. We are going to use the name. Okay, and name I'll put it as user ID, whatever is there. Earlier I'll put it like this. So again, the name I will go here, and here I'll put it, and this will be title, and again I will have this name here, and this one will be body. This one will be body. So I'm calling, I'm having this thing, and I am calling a same function here, not three different functions. Now I will go here and handle change equal to e. Now I'll have only a single set. This dot set state I'll have. Then inside it, I will use this e dot target dot name is equal to e dot target dot value. But this thing is known as, I think this thing is known as dynamic field, which you have already told. Dynamic field. This thing is known as dynamic field. Okay, so here what I'm actually doing, I will just explain quickly. So what is happening here? E dot target dot name is there, and when I will type here, now let me start to type here. So I'm able to type anything here, anything here, and anything here. Okay. So I'm able to do it. How I'm able to do it? So when I type something in the first thing, user ID, so this on change will fire, handle change will fire, and it will see e dot target dot name. So in the runtime, what is e dot target dot name? E dot target dot name is user ID. So it will change like this, user ID, and e dot target dot value is what? Whatever I type, and maybe I have typed 2 here. So it will be 2. Next time it will be e dot target dot name. Next time I'm typing here. So e dot target dot name is title. Target dot name is title. In the third one, e dot target dot name is body. So this is how this all the things are there. So that is there, and then now what I am going to do is, this is done. So the next thing is that how do we su- how do we submit it, so let us do that. And submitting is a bit, just bit different. Okay, submitting is a bit different here. So I will first, let me copy this thing, and let me put it here. Then what I'm going to do is const settings. So the post API is a bit tougher. Post API is a bit not that easy. Post API is a bit not tougher. It is a bit more thing we have to do. This is a post API. What is happening? Post API, I am also submitting some of the data I'm submitting. So here what I'm going to do, method is post, method post. You have to write the method as post. Then you have to do the headers as headers as headers I have to do, and this headers, there is some boilerplate code here. Okay, so accept. Actually, this boilerplate code is not that much there in Axios, but it is there in the fetch API. So accept I have to do as application JSON I have to do, then comma content type, also I have to make it as application JSON. So in header I have to send this thing, and in this settings I have to send the body also. So this body I will send, and this will be JSON dot stringify. So whenever we send data to the data to a backend API, we stringify this thing, and I will stringify what? I will stringify the this dot state. This dot state I am stringifying it. So this dot state will contain the user ID, title, and body. So this is how we have to send. So now how I'm going to send it here is exactly like this. I'm going to send it here. So like this, I'll come here and I will after this settings. So this is the settings bracket. It is done. So I'll come here. Let's fetch URL. So not just URL. In the post, I also send the settings. Also send the settings. Also settings will contain the header, method, and the body. Most important thing is the body. And then maybe I will not call it the post. I'll call it a data. And then we don't have to change anything, but I want to show what is the data. So I'll do a console.log. I'll save it. Now it is telling me await is being used, but where is the async? So this function I have to make it as async. Now I'll save it. Now it is there. Now I will go to the inspect and go to the console here, and okay. So now I will make it as 23, make it as React, and I make it as this is React, and I will submit it. See, after 1 second, the data have come back. User ID, title, body, and see ID. I didn't added the ID. The ID is added. Why ID 101 is added? Actually, in this there are 100 posts are there. Last post is 100, so it is added at the 101 position. Okay, so yeah, content type should be in string form. Okay, so that is there. So this is how this is done. Okay, so that is there, and this completes our class based concepts. And now let us start with the hook base. At least we'll start with the hook base, and tomorrow we're going to complete this. Hook base is not that much. Okay, so I'm going to do it, and I'm going to create a new React app. So let me quickly create a new React app, and because I don't want to do it in the class based thing only, npx create React app hooks. Okay, so let it open. I want to open that class-based code also, because we're going to refer it a lot of time. Okay, so I will come here and do where is the 15 August. So this is my app. So I'll keep it open in Sublime Text. I want to refer it sometime because I want to show the difference and all. Okay, so that is there. So my new app is hook app has been created, and let it be created, and we're going to see. Okay, so it has been created. So I'll go to the CD hooks and started with VS Code, and then do a npm start. Yeah, so this there. Now we'll start with the hooks. So as I've told earlier, also hooks were introduced in React 16.8, and because of that, functional component started having two logics which were all only there in the class-based component, which is the state and the lifecycle method. And before that, functional component were called dumb component because they didn't have all these things. But there were some issues with class-based things in React. So React is moving towards the functional, but classes are still there. So a lot of people were also tell hooks, hooks, hooks. So I'm telling hooks, but you have to learn the class based also. It is very important. Okay. So and class based have some complicated logic like the this keyword and all those things are they are also solved there. So this component is there, and there are two important hooks. The most important hooks are a use state hook and a use effect hook. What are the hooks? What are they? You are going to see these things. Okay. So I'll in the SASE I will create a components folder, then class counter. Why I'm creating the class counter.js? Because first I am going to show this a simple class counter in which I'm going to have a state. Then I'm going to convert that into a hook based functional component. So this class counter is there. Here I will have a one more thing I wanted to do. This strict mode thing that messes up with the console logs. So I'll remove this thing. App.js. So this will be RCC host for default class counter. I'll have. Let me show this class counter like this. A logo I'll delete and the class counter is there. Okay. So let us have a simple state here. So I'll have a r const here and then count of 0 I'm going to have here, and then here here I'll have a button, and in this button I'll show this count in the button itself. Okay, and this will be this dot state dot count. Okay, and let me show, and the count of 0 is being shown. Now I want to increase it. So this all things we have looked into it earlier also. Click and I can create a different function, but I can do it here also. Like how I can do it here? I just have to change this. I want to increment the count. So I will call the set state here itself. This dot one more thing. Okay, one sec. This dot set state count is this dot state dot count plus 1, like this. I will save it. Now if I click it, it will definitely increase. Okay, so now we are going to change it to a hook based state. Okay, so how we are going to do it? So let us create a hook counter. Now here I'll do a hook counter dot js RAFCE functional component. I'm going to create, but in functional component we don't have a constructor, we don't have a state, this dot a state. So what I did, what we have, so React team created a hook known as a use state hook. We're going to use that. So that const count comma set count equal to use state. I'm going to call this use state and call it 0, and then let me complete everything, then I will tell what it is. So I will have a button here again like this, and maybe it will be having the hook count of count, and then on click equal to set count count plus 1. Okay, so hook counter, we can have this also, and the hook counter is also working fine. But how it is working and what it is, so let me do one thing, and this will be last topic today. Okay, one sec, one sec. Day 3 attendance, please mark the day 3 attendance here now. Okay, so how the, so as you can see, it is working similarly to this. So I will do one thing. Okay, so let us compare hook counter and this class counter. So what is happening here? So the thing what is happening here is that we don't have this constructor and this dot state. So this is array destructuring we are using, and this is again an ES6 concept. As I always told, ES6 concepts are very important. So here this count and set count is there. This count is exactly equal to this, but there is one difference is there. This dot state was an object. It is always an object, but count is not an object actually. Count can be different things. Okay, but then also the count is like here I have taken it at 0. So when I will, this is the initial state, whatever the count of 0, exactly similar to this. Then the what is the set count? Set count is equivalent to the set state. But in hooks what happens, there is set count is a keyword here. Here it can be anything. So suppose I want to have another state variable, how I'll do it? The name as empty string, like this I will have. But here if I want something, how I'll have it as a name and set name, and then have like this. So this is how I will do it. So, and I can change this name through the set state, but I have to change this name through set name. So set count, set name, they're like it's private your set state. So in hooks what happens, you have your own set state, we have your own set state. Every variable has its own set state, but in class based concept it is not like that. Okay, so it is equivalent to set state, but each state variable will have its own set state equivalent. Okay, so that is there. Let me revert it back, and now the set count. Here the set count is very easy. Here we have to use, first we have to use this dot set state. There is no concept of this and all those things. Okay, because this is except it doesn't exist in the functional component. So this dot set state is there, and in this dot set state I have this count is equal to this dot state dot count plus 1. I have to do this all complicated logic. Why I have to do this complicated logic? Because actually this dot state is an object, so I have to pass an object here and all these things. And notice here there is nothing like a state keyword is also not here. Okay, so I directly do a count plus 1. So the code is much more simpler. That's why people love this thing. Okay, people love hooks. That is the reason. You can sometimes people directly learn also, but I don't recommend to directly learn, because we are soon going to see there is a next hook, use effect hook, which we are going to see tomorrow. The use effect hook, and use state is also not complete. Use effect, and in that we are going to see that it changes the life cycle method, but it changes in a different way. Okay, so yeah, so state is still not over, and tomorrow we are going to complete the hooks. Hope you all like it. As our community manager Abdul has told, please do like and subscribe. If you're finding something valuable, please do tell in our college, because we want to reach more people soon, so that we can help more people to become a web app developer. And in this Saturday we are going to have a 8-hour long boot camp, so please do attend it. It is from 9 to 5. It will teach everything from the beginning to start. HTML, CSS, JavaScript will teach whole of HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So please do attend it. That this is something which only happens once in a month. So please do attend it. Okay. So thank you all, and